Book of Numbers Study Bible, copyright 2025, all rights reserved, chapter 35, 1406 BC, Levite cities and suburbs. The Lord Yahweh said to Moses in the plains of Moab, by the Jordan River near Jericho,
Command the children of Jacob / Israel, so that they give to the Levites for the inheritance of their possession cities to live in. You will give to the Levites suburbs around the cities. They will live in these cities, and the suburbs will be for their cattle, for their goods, and for all their beasts. The suburbs around the cities, which you give to the Levites, will extend from the wall of the city outward 1,500 feet in every direction. You will measure from outside the city on the east side 3,000 feet, on the south side 3,000 feet, on the west side 3,000 feet, and on the north side 3,000 feet. The city will be in the middle. This will be to them the suburbs of the cities. Among the cities which you will give to the Levites, there will be 6 cities for refuge, which you will appoint for the manslayer, that he may flee there. To them you will add 42 cities. So all the cities which you will give to the Levites will be 48 cities. You will give them their suburbs. The cities that you give will be from the possession of the children of Jacob / Israel. From those that have many, you will give many. But from those who have few, you will give a few. Everyone will give from their cities to the Levites, according to their inheritance, which they have inherited.
6 cities of refuge. The Lord Yahweh said to Moses,
Speak to the children of Jacob / Israel, and say to them, When you have crossed the Jordan River into the land of Canaan, you will designate the cities that are to be cities of refuge for you, so that the slayer may flee there, who kills any person, Adam, accidentally. They will be to you cities for refuge from the avenger, so that the manslayer does not die until he stands before the congregation in judgment. From these cities, which you will give, you will have 6 cities of refuge. You will designate 3 cities on this side of the Jordan River and 3 cities in the land of Canaan, which will be cities of refuge. These 6 cities will be a refuge, both for the children of Jacob / Israel, for the stranger, and for the sojourner among them, so that anyone who kills a person accidentally may flee there.
Statute of Judgment. The Lord Yahweh continued speaking to Moses.
If a person strikes another with an instrument of iron, so that the other person dies, the person who struck the individual is a murderer. The murderer will surely be put to death. If a person strikes another by throwing a stone, from which a person could die, and the other person actually dies, the person who threw the stone is a murderer. The murderer will surely be put to death. Or if a person strikes another with a hand weapon of wood, from which a person could die, and the other person actually dies, the person who struck the other is a murderer. The murderer will surely be put to death. The victim's closest male relative, revenger of blood, will kill the murderer when he meets him.
Note: in Numbers 35:19, the KJV uses the phrase revenger of blood. In Hebrew, the use is a phrase which means male blood avenger / redeemer, or the victim's male relative. Furthermore, based on the current law, it is implied that only the closest male relative can legally do this. Therefore, the SSB will clarify verses which use this phrase by referring to the victim's closest male relative. End of note. The Lord Yahweh continued speaking to Moses.
But If a person pushes another person out of hatred, or if a person hurls something at another person with the intent to kill them, or if a person strikes another person with his hand in hostility and kills the other person, the person who killed another will surely be put to death, because they are a murderer. The victim's closest male relative, revenger of blood, will kill the murderer when he meets them. But if a person pushes another person suddenly without hostility, or if a person hurls anything upon another person without intent to kill them, or with any stone wherewith a person may die, without seeing the other person, and cast it upon them, so that the other person dies, and was not the person's enemy, neither sought his harm, then the congregation will judge between the slayer and the revenger of blood, the victim's closest male relative. According to these judgments, the congregation will deliver the slayer out of the hand of the revenger of blood, the victim's closest male relative. The congregation will restore the slayer to the city of his refuge, where he had fled, and the slayer will live in it until the death of the high priest, who was anointed with the holy oil. But if the slayer at any time comes out of the border of the city of his refuge, where he fled, and the revenger of blood, the victim's closest male relative, finds him outside the borders of the city of his refuge, and the revenger of blood, the victim's closest male relative, kills the slayer, the revenger of blood, the victim's closest male relative, will not be guilty of blood, because the slayer should have remained in the city of his refuge until the death of the high priest. But after the death of the high priest, the slayer will return to the land of his possession. So these things will be a statute of judgment to you throughout your generations in all your dwellings.
Witness testimony. The Lord Yahweh continued speaking to Moses.
Whosoever kills any person, the murderer will be put to death by the testimony of the witnesses. But one witness will not testify against any person to cause that person to die.
Ransom/bribe/payment for a murderer. The Lord Yahweh continued speaking to Moses.
Moreover, you will take no ransom/bribe/payment for the life of a murderer which is guilty of death, convicted of murder. The murderer will be put to death.
Note: in Numbers 35:31, the King James Version uses the phrase, "You will take no satisfaction for the life of a murderer," which in 1611, when the KJV was written, meant payment that satisfies justice. The Masoretic text uses a phrase that translates into, "You will take no ransom/bribe/payment for the life of a murderer." Therefore, to clarify the KJV statement for the reader, the SSB will use the phrase, "You will take no ransom/bribe/payment for the life of a murderer." End of note. The Lord, Yahweh, continued speaking to Moses.
And you will take no ransom/bribe/payment for a murderer who fled to the city of his refuge, so that they come back to live in the land, until the death of the priest. So you do not pollute the land wherein you live, because the blood defiles the land. The land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, except from the blood of the person who shed it. Therefore do not defile the land in which you reside, wherein I live, because I, the Lord Yahweh, live among the children of Jacob/Israel.